Gentlemen, ladies, and anyone else in between, and welcome to the end of an era of sorts. Right before I sat down to watch this movie, Sony announced it would not be pursuing any further spin-offs in this universe. Instead, we'll be shifting their focus to who what they have planned for television, as well as yet coming beyond Spider-Verse or in the near future. To say nothing about how the next main Spider-Man film at Marvel. This functionally means that even though there was intent otherwise, including in this movie, we will not be getting any sequel to this, though given what I'm about to tell you, I can't say I'm surprised at all, and it also further compounds the outside the Venom trilogy being the only bona fide hits in this experiment. We had hilarious messes such as Madam Web and Morbius, and now this. This may be my least favorite spin-off in this franchise, and a very dumb one at that, but as you can tell by my mixed emotions, I'm gonna have a lot of fun talking about it. So, here is a review on Kraven the Hunter and why it marks a hilariously messy end to the Sony Spider-Man Universe. So let's begin. The film follows the titular Kraven the Hunter, a morally gray vigilante. He played in this film by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who previously appeared in Kick-Ass, as well as he was the one of the variants of Quicksilver, and now this makes, by my count, at least his third comic movie role main. And there's also his origin story in this film has him getting attacked by a lion on safari and being left near death until he is given a mysterious potion by Calypso, played by Ariana DeBose, who's admittedly a bright spot in this film. I mean, I'm not familiar with all of the supporting cast members, but they are putting in effort even with them not being given much to work with. And for what it's worth, the potion not only saves his life, but also gives him animal-like strength, speed, and senses, and admittedly, though Kraven's not as well known as Venom in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, as a character he's been around almost as long as Spider-Man himself. He first appeared in the comics in 1964, in the original Stan Lee Ditko run, while may not be as big as, say, Dr. Octopus or the Green Goblin or even Mysterio. So they have been able to make compelling depictions of this character before. Again, I refer you to the 90s animated series, and also to last year's game on PS5 from Insomniac. I am definitely going to be playing that, one of the first few ones I intend to pick up when I get a PS5 in the near future. So, we're definitely, at the very least, on more solid ground for a spin-off compared to, say, Michael Morbius or Cassandra Webb, at least. So, yet, even despite that, it ends up sharing much more in common with Morbius and Madam Web in terms of quality than it does with, say, the excellent Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse or this year's Deadpool Wolverine. Even, I mean, would we be able to appreciate this movie if it wasn't for this one? I think not. I mean, I am unfamiliar with director J.C. Sandor's work. I will have to look into that, but based on the way his previous films are described, I think he might be a bit out of his depth for this kind of material here. I mean, I'm not saying that a director can't be enthused by the material, I'm also not saying that they can't and bring any spin to that. I've actually advocated for that more than once in the past. I mean, however, I can definitely sum up his involvement in at least two words: hired hand. I mean, even though the film cost at minimum $110 million to make, it definitely has a look and feel of a comic film that came out decades ago, where, again, like all the ones 2000s, where for everyone that was somewhat faithful material, we had others that were where fidelity to the comics or even basic narrative and character cohesion were not guaranteed. I mean, we have Russell Crowe playing Kraven's emotionally abusive father, who also has a thing for Tony Bennett, and sounds like he might be looking for a moose and squirrel. I let's just say this is well below his role as like the DCEU variant of Jor-El, or even his bit part as Zeus in Love and Thunder. But I don't blame him or anyone else for taking part in this movie. At some point in this business and your career, just gotta go where the work is. Sometimes, that's. I just I'm not sure if I'm willing to play the blame game with one group of people. I would say, hey, just like the usual suits. I mean, like I said before, it's not just like a quality issue with the genre fatigue, but also a quantity one. That's why I don't mind that Marvel and DC just put out one movie a piece this year. I think Sony putting out three might have been pushing it, and given how both this and the next movie I'm planning on seeing are currently fighting for Copper opening weekend, and with Moana, Wicked, and Gladiator such a three-peat potentially, I think I heard bits of them when I was watching this one. That's not terribly surprising either. Out of the ones I've personally seen this year, here I honestly have no issue saying this is one of my least favorite of the bunch. With, again, Deadpool and Wolverine on top, then Joker for the Deux, then Madam Web, and now Kraven. I'm rounding out the list. In a sense, it's definitely just as well that this came out during the weekend of Friday 13th, because it's fairly unlucky that this had to be like the unofficial end of this franchise, no matter what. Even if they weren't planning on shifting their focus to Beyond the Spider-Verse, as well as the Spider-Man Noir and Silk TV shows that got cooking for Prime, it's highly likely they would have done so anyway, given how they just downgraded their box office returns to be even lower than Madam Web and Before the Adieu. So there's that. And heck, they even proposed one based on a character I'm not familiar with singer Bad Bunny in the title role, but that one never even got made at all. And while in theory, really it's not bad that the main MCU does not have all the characters in their over yet. In practice, however, diminishing returns it's just otherwise. Using the infamous Fantafour stick as a barometer, the question remains to me is not if some of these side characters rise over back to Marvel, but rather when. Personally, since, and even with all the heat that they've gotten in the Multiverse Saga, they did at least try to do something with the material, as well as balance the more absurd aspects with a relatively serious storyline. And I guess the bar of equality has just gotten a lot higher here as over the last 6 or 7 years, and I once again give them credit for its due for lasting long in the Dark Universe. I mean, but outside of, say, the Toho Monsterverse or in the Controverse for that matter, the non-MCU cinematic universes had a kind of rough go at it, admittedly, and all things considered, I still see a lot of this weekend as like the calm before the storm of both Sonic 3 and Mufasa, with it I giving like a slight advantage to Sonic, though I'll at least say that the mouse has more convincing CGI lions than in this movie. Like all the CGI animals was here look like something you see in straight to VOD production despite the budget, and there were about 12 people in the theater when I went to go see this at best. I mean, there's two who actually stepped out before or the halfway point, and I had to catch a bus. But I reached a point where I basically could telegraph each plot point before it even happened. I mean, I don't claim to be psychic or have a photographic memory, but if I see something once, I recognize I see it again. And I mean, some of the stunts that are done for real are pretty effective when it's not clearly like a CGI body, a double with the actor's head plopped onto it. I mean, since. And I'll only say that even though the kills someone can put it over the top, they're also admittedly a bit more gruesome at some point. Like, nothing as, say, as cheesy as Ezekiel Sims getting crushed by a giant Pepsi sign, but it is definitely like you get kind of out there. I mean, like the first guy he gets is a poacher in a gulag, with like one of the tusks he grabbed from like a rug, but I could tell both the rug and the fang were synthetic. I mean, like as are his variant of the version of his comic counterparts, Hurt's furred vest. I have. It's another instance where I've legit seen cosplays at both big and small conventions that looked more convincing than the suits in this movie. And I will say that this film's wearing the Rhino now has me contemplating an apology to the Transformer-esque version, Anime Spider-Man 2. I mean, I am still interested in doing like a one on where that film didn't work, where No Way Home did, but like great many things, I might have to take more time with it than I expected. I mean, that's reality though. And given what impact this will have going forward for the SSU, I think it's quite clear to me why they're going the way they're going. Like, on top of the fourth Holland film they're developing alongside Marvel, it makes sense that they're gonna keep the focus on Beyond the Spider-Verse, given how the first two movies were highly acclaimed and made quite a bit of money and or have been nominated for and won awards. And the Spider-Noir TV show has potential, and I'm also wouldn't even be against watching the one focusing on the character Silk. I mean, in general, I would argue that using Peacemaker and now the Creature Command as a barometer, maybe the small screen is a better format for introducing characters that aren't as well known to the general public than and the big screen is. At least at this point in pop culture history, I think, the idea of, outside of ones that we know for sure people are gonna want, on the idea of just any old comic book film being like an instant blockbuster is over, at least for the time being. And even though some people have suggested otherwise, I personally don't think trying to do like a whole reboot of this continuity would be the best approach. Especially given how it couldn't just potentially, because at this point I'd say that the spin-offs have been functionally damaged along with other ones from their studio. Oh, and that doing more could risk damaging the genre itself even further. So, oh, my gut tells me, he, if I was calling for real shots, I would just start making plans to either sell or just give these characters back to Marvel. Well, at this point, since the announcements that they made before the previews even began immediately told me and many others that yeah, I don't think the SSU has a future anymore. Not that it really did that much. Since I could see myself getting any Venom: The Last Dance whenever it comes out on Blu-ray. But as for the others, I got no problem just watching them online or on FX when I feel like having a laugh on some of the a special gingerbread. Let's just say that there's gonna be more than sugar plums and a an octet reindeer above my head fairly soon. My fun rating is about 2 stars out of 5. I maybe like a 1.5 stars out of 4 by that metric, but for an unintentional comedy, it's definitely made me laugh a few times, and other people in the theater I was watching this had to stifle their chuckles too. So, anyway, that'll be all for now, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.